This is continuous coverage.
Continuous coverage.
In the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell from the Hidden Killers podcast.
Hidden Killers podcast.
We are on day number 3. It is the 12th of April, 2023, as we take you back to the courtroom for the second and final segment of the day, as court ends up being adjourned early due to a death in the family of a member of the prosecution. Let's go back to the courtroom for the final hour of testimony.
All right, the state can call its next witness.
The state now calls Joe Powell.
All right, Officer Powell, if you'd just come forward, pause, and raise your right hand, I'll have you placed under oath by the clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes. All right, Officer Powell, follow the directions of the bailiff there. All right, I'll just remind the witness we're keeping a stenographic record of the proceedings, so please answer verbally using yes or no, for example. Please also try to avoid talking at the same time as anyone that's asking you a question. With that in mind, then, also I'll have the state, Ms. Rawlings, please identify yourself on the record before we get started, and you can commence with your direct examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. I am Tanya Rawlings with the Fremont County Prosecutor's Office.
All right, you can inquire on direct.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, as we discussed earlier, I do have some certified records for medical documents and also a certified copy of the exhumation order for Tammy Daybell's body. They are marked as exhibits 38 through 41, I believe, and I think based on prior stipulation, I'm moving for their admission at this time.
So this is exhibits 38, 39, 40, and 41, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, individually I'll call those out then. They've all been offered. Is there any objection to the admission of exhibit 38?
No, Your Honor.
Any objection to admitting exhibit 39?
Your Honor, I apologize. If we can go back to 38. It's on the business record itself, on the front of it, it says Exhibit 83, and on the back of it, it says 38. Is that what you have?
I do. There's lined out, looks like previously marked sticker. I have a courtesy copy, so mine doesn't have the currently marked trial sticker, but it probably is worth clarifying on the record the number and the explanation of the sticker on page 1.
Yes, it was used in a prior proceeding, Your Honor, and so the sticker on the front is not the correct sticker. The sticker on the back of the page is the correct one.
Okay, and that would be Exhibit 38, correct, which is it's entitled Business Records Certification of Teton Medical Group?
Correct.
Okay. Any objection now with that clarified, Mr. Thomas?
No, Your Honor. I was just concerned that maybe there was a dyslexic type of moment, but I think we're good.
All right. On Exhibit 39, does the defense have any objection to its admission?
No, Your Honor.
On Exhibit 40, it's been offered. Any objection from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit 41 has also been offered. Any objection from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Each of those exhibits is now admitted into the record of the trial. You can commence with your examination then, Ms. Rawlings.
Thank you, Your Honor. Lieutenant Powell, would you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Joseph Powell, P-O-W-E-L-L.
Where do you currently work?
Fremont County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you been employed with them?
21 years.
What is your current job title?
Lieutenant.
Do you have any specialized training in order to be a peace officer?
Yes, you have to attend the Idaho Police Academy, and then they require 40 continuing hours within every 2 years.
Do you have any additional training to be a lieutenant?
Yes.
And what training and experience do you have as a lieutenant?
I've been a lieutenant for 6 years and 100 plus hours of training.
Okay. And as a lieutenant, what are some of your job duties?
I'm over patrol, the detectives. I oversee the schedule, look at reports, cover patrol shifts, and help detectives as needed.
Have you worked as a detective in the past?
Yes.
How long did you work as a detective?
Approximately 4.5 years.
Are part of your current duties to investigate and follow up on cases?
Yes, if detectives need help or they're busy, then I'll take a case or two.
In your current role, are you informed of unattended deaths in Fremont County?
Yes.
Did you learn of the death of Tamara Daybell?
Yes.
When did you learn of her death?
On October 19th, 2019.
Okay. And in addition to that, were you also contacted by another law enforcement agency regarding her death?
Yes.
Who was that?
Gilbert Police Department in Arizona.
Okay. When did they contact you?
On October 31st, 2019.
What did you learn from that contact?
They was inquiring about Tammy's death and if we was investigating it, and they had an attempted murder down there.
At some point, did you become aware of an individual or of an investigation involving someone named Lori Vallow?
Yes.
Did you also learn about an individual named Alex Cox?
Yes.
And did you also learn about an individual named Chad Daybell?
Yes.
Did the Gilbert Police Department request your assistance?
Yes, they did.
What did they request your assistance with?
Trying to locate a 2018 Jeep Wrangler, gray in color, with Texas plates.
Did you personally follow up on looking for the Jeep?
Yes.
Where did you initially attempt to locate the Jeep?
Went to the 202 North, 1900 East in Fremont County.
And what residence is that?
The Chad Daybell residence.
Okay. Why did you follow up on this?
It was just quick and easy. Detectives was busy. So I just got in my vehicle and drove out there and checked.
Okay. Did you conduct additional surveillance when you were looking for the Jeep?
Yes.
Where did you conduct that additional surveillance?
565 Pioneer Road in Rexburg.
And how, if at all, did that connect to the death of Tammy Daybell?
Chad Daybell was at that residence with that residence there.
Okay. What, if anything else, about your conversation with Arizona caused you concern over Tammy's death?
About the death surrounding the individuals and the attempted murder.
Okay. Was there anything that caused you concern specifically with the names Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell being connected?
Yeah, the same with the deaths and attempted murder.
Were you involved in surveilling Chad and Lori?
Yes.
How so?
We surveilled them to a few different locations.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm going to ask that the witness be handed State's Exhibits 35 and 36 at this time. And I believe the court and defense has courtesy copies.
Can I take a look at those just to make sure they're the same as my courtesy copy? Thank you.
All right, with respect to Exhibit 35, do you recognize this document, Lieutenant Powell?
Yes.
How are you able to recognize it?
I was sitting at that table when the photo was taken.
And when was that photograph taken?
November 1st, 2019.
Okay. Does it fairly and accurately depict the scene as you saw it on the day that it was taken?
Yes.
Are there any material alterations to that photograph?
No.
Your Honor, I'm moving for the admission of State's Exhibit 35.
Any objection?
No objection.
Exhibit 35 is admitted.
And turning your attention to Exhibit 36, Lieutenant Powell, do you recognize that document?
Yes.
How are you able to recognize it?
This was on that same day.
And can you tell us the date again?
November 1st, 2019.
And does it fairly and accurately depict the scene as you observed it that day?
Yes.
Are there any material alterations to the photograph?
No.
Your Honor, I also move for the admission of Exhibit 36, excuse me.
Any objection?
No objection.
Exhibit 36 is admitted.
And Your Honor, may I have those exhibits back to publish them to the jury?
You may.
All right, and I think this is the third time that I've asked you this question, but when did you observe Chad and Lori at Cafe Rio?
November 1st, 2019.
And this picture depicts that?
Yes.
And what were your observations of them while they were at Cafe Rio?
There's in conversation and eating.
Okay. Where else did you observe Chad and Lori?
Walking in the Hobby Lobby.
Okay, and does this picture show that?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And what did you observe about their behavior with each other?
They was holding hands as they was walking in.
Okay. At some point, was an investigation into Tammy's death conducted?
Yes.
Why?
Because of all the suspicious circumstances, the investigation, her age.
Okay. You mentioned her age. Were there any other suspicious circumstances that you'd elaborate on?
Through the investigation, it seemed that she was in pretty good health.
Okay. And was this a joint investigation with other agencies?
Yes, it was.
What other agencies were involved at this point?
Rexburg Police Department, the Sheriff's Office, and I believe the FBI was too.
Okay. At some point, did you turn this investigation over to detectives in the Fremont County Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
Is that a common practice?
Yes.
How is that decided?
It's just decided on by me, the sheriff, or the chief deputy, and depending on the caseload and what's going on.
Okay. What did you do specifically in relation to the investigation involving Tammy's death?
I did a search warrant on the townhomes in Rexburg, on one townhome in Rexburg. And then I helped with the search warrant at the Daybell residence and the exhumation of Tammy Daybell.
Okay. Now, with regard to the search warrant for the townhomes in Rexburg, the one specifically you did, were you able to determine who was on the lease?
Yes.
Who was that?
Alex Cox.
Do you recall the number?
175.
Okay. Did you also seek search warrants for Tammy Daybell's medical records?
Yes, I did.
And what did you learn from your review of those records?
That she didn't go to the doctor very often. She was in good health. She was being seen for depression and hurt hand.
Okay. Do you recall from your review of those medical records anything regarding her heart or blood pressure?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. I don't think he has the qualifications to be commenting on medical records.
At this point, I will sustain that objection. I think that's probably outside of the scope of proper testimony for this witness.
Did you run a controlled prescription check or seek a search warrant for Tammy's prescriptions?
Yes.
What did you learn from your review of the prescription records?
Again, Your Honor, I'm not sure he can testify as to a review of prescription medical records. It's the same thing.
Well, he can talk about what he saw in review of the records. What that means is probably outside the scope of any expertise he may have, but you can answer that question, and I'll probably have Madam Prosecutor read the question again at this point.
Okay. And I'll maybe lay a little bit more foundation, Your Honor, too.
Thank you.
As part of your duties as law enforcement, are you able to run controlled substance checks for people's prescriptions?
Yes.
And that's a database that you have access to as a member of law enforcement?
Yes.
And so you're able to verify whether someone has a prescription for a controlled substance?
Yes.
All right. And then in addition to that check, in this case, you also did get a warrant for her prescriptions from Walmart. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in checking that, just asking what you observed or what you saw in terms of the prescriptions she was provided.
She was prescribed fluoxetine and tramadol.
Okay. Based on that, did that cause you any additional concern?
Yes.
What was that?
Your Honor, I apologize, but if he's going to start talking about fluoxetine or tramadol, I'm going to have an objection. I don't think he's qualified to speak on those things. I don't think there's been proper foundation as to his qualifications as a pharmacist and or medical doctor.
All right. There is a pending objection. I think certainly the officers got the foundation here in the training to review what prescriptions were in terms of what those may mean in a medical sense. I think would be outside the scope of proper testimony. So there hasn't been a response yet, but with that in mind, Madam Prosecutor, you can continue to inquire.
Okay. As a result of your investigation, was a decision made to exhume Tamara Daybell's body?
Yes.
What facts for you played into the decision to exhume her?
She was healthy, her age. There was no sign of heart or blood pressure. And with...
Again, Your Honor, I'm going to object. He's now talking about her medical diagnoses.
That's overruled. You can continue to answer.
And with her husband being with another lady so soon after.
Okay. And what role did you play in the process for exhuming her body?
I got a court order from Utah.
And was that signed by a judge?
Yes, it was.
Where was her body located?
Springfield, Utah.
Okay. Were you present for the exhumation?
Yes.
And, Your Honor, at this time, I'm going to ask that the witness be handed States Exhibits 37A through 37H.
All right, the witness will be provided those exhibits.
Okay.
And, Lieutenant, can you just review those quickly?
I apologize, Your Honor. Before he answers, may I take a look at those just to make sure they conform to what I have?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. And just to speed things along, I have no objection to the admission of any of those.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Thomas. So they're being offered, I assume, Ms. Rawlings?
Yes, Your Honor. And if there's no objection, I'd move for their admission and to publish to the jury.
Okay, I will then put on the record exhibits 37A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H have all been admitted and may be published to the jury.
And Lieutenant Powell, in your review of those photos, were they, I think I may have already asked you this, but in case I didn't, were you present for the exhumation?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And I'm just going to walk you through this, and maybe it's better to see. So in looking at State's Exhibit 37A, what does that depict?
Tammy Daybell's grave, and off to the right-hand side you can see the backhoe, a little bit of it.
And 37B?
The backhoe digging the grave up.
C?
The vault being lifted out of the ground.
D?
The vault outside the ground.
And what material is the vault made of?
Cement.
E?
The vault being open, showing the top of the casket.
And 37F?
Inside the vault with the casket removed.
G?
The casket being loaded into the vehicle to be transported.
Okay. Where was her body taken?
To the medical examiner's office in Utah.
And were you present when the coffin was opened?
Yes, I was.
Did you know Tammy Daybell prior to this investigation?
No, I did not.
Were you able to identify the remains of Tammy Daybell?
Yes.
How?
From photographs.
And 37H is being published to the jury at this time. Was Tammy's body still in a condition that you could identify it based on those pictures that you'd reviewed?
Yes.
Was there any indication that the body or the casket had been tampered with in any manner?
No.
And what did you see inside the casket?
Tammy Daybell's body.
Okay. Were you present for the autopsy?
Yes, I was.
Was there a determination as to the cause of death at that time?
No, there was not.
Following the autopsy, what happened with regard to Tammy's body?
She was taken to a funeral home and then prepared and then taken back out and reburied.
Once the autopsy was concluded, were there any other actions taken in relation to that investigation?
Yes, from the other detectives.
Okay. Now I'm going to turn your attention to January 3rd of 2020. Were you working that day?
Yes, I was.
What was your assignment that day?
To help serve a search warrant.
Where did you serve the search warrant?
202 North, 1900 East in Fremont County, Idaho.
And what type of building is that?
It's a single family dwelling.
Okay. And whose residence is it or dwelling is it?
Chad Daybell's.
Were any other agencies involved in the service of that search warrant on January 3rd, 2020?
Yes, Rexburg detectives, FBI ERT team, and the Fremont County Sheriff's Office.
Did they collect
Fremont County Sheriff's Office?
Did they collect evidence?
Yes.
At the end of the search warrant, were items found in the home turned over to you?
Yes.
Do you recall who turned those items over to you?
The FBI ERT team.
And where was this again?
At 202 North, 1900 East in Fremont County.
And how were the items packaged?
In evidence packaging.
What did you do with those items?
Loaded the items in my vehicle and Detective Mattingly's vehicle.
Okay. And after loading those items, where were they transported?
The Fremont County Sheriff's Office.
After arriving at the sheriff's office, did you turn possession of those items, all those items, over to another officer?
Yes, to Detective Bruce Mattingly.
Okay. And were you involved in booking any of that evidence?
No, I was not.
Okay. I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Rawlings. Cross-examination from the defense.
Is the court wanting to take a mid-morning break anytime? I mean, just kind of give me kind of a ballpark as to when you want me to.
I was thinking around 10:30, but any time.
Okay, I think I could probably be done by then. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Morning, Officer Powell. How you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good. So, I want to talk a little bit about a couple of things. You work for the Fremont County Sheriff's Office currently?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever worked for any other agencies?
No.
Okay. You were contacted by the Gilbert Police Department in Arizona, is that right?
Yes.
With regards to locating a Jeep?
Yes.
Okay. And from that, you were involved in some surveillance of Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you took some photos. I believe one was at Cafe Rio. Do you know where that was? Was that in Fremont County or Madison County or somewhere else?
That was in Bonneville County.
Bonneville County?
Yes.
And how far is that from St. Anthony? So your office is in St. Anthony, is that right?
Yes, it is.
And this photograph was taken in Idaho Falls, is that right?
Yes.
So how far of a drive, if you were to drive, how far is that?
Approximately 30 minutes.
Okay. And your normal jurisdiction is Fremont County, but you indicate in this particular case that you've served a search warrant or was the primary on a search warrant in Madison County, correct?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I apologize. Maybe I got some things mixed up. You were not on the search warrant of the townhomes in Rexburg?
No. If I did, I just assisted. I was not primary on it.
Okay. You didn't testify to anything about search warrants in the townhomes in Rexburg?
I served a search warrant to see who was on the lease for the townhomes, yes.
Okay. And those townhomes are located in what county?
Rexburg.
Madison?
Madison County, yes.
Okay. All right. And you indicated that Alex Cox was on the lease at 175?
Yes.
Okay. But you weren't involved in actually searching that townhome?
I don't recall, but if I was, it was just assisting Rexburg PD.
Okay. But you don't have any specific recollection of being there when those townhomes were searched?
I don't.
Okay. All right. As far as your surveillance goes of Lori and Chad Daybell, how many times did you surveil them?
Just that one day.
Oh, just the one time. Okay.
Yeah.
And did you follow them to their location from Fremont or Madison County?
Yes.
And which one?
From Madison County.
Okay. And where in Madison County did you follow them from?
565 Pioneer Road.
Okay. So where were you? Were you doing kind of like a stakeout or something at that particular area?
Yes.
Okay. And how long had you been there before you saw Chad and Lori?
I don't recall how long we'd been there.
Half an hour? More than half an hour?
I'd say at least a half an hour.
Okay. And then you followed them down to Idaho Falls?
We followed them a few different places, but yes, we did end up going to Idaho Falls.
When you say we, who is we?
There was myself, Chief Deputy Thad Gardner, Detective Stubbs, and I believe Detective Hermosello was there for a little bit, but then he had to leave.
Were you all four in the same car, or were you in different cars?
Different vehicles.
Okay. So you were the only one in your vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. And to your knowledge, were you the only one who captured photographic evidence of this particular surveillance?
No, there was others that collected photos.
Other photos that were taken on this day?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. When you were sitting in Cafe Rio, did you happen to overhear any of the conversation between Chad and Lori?
No.
How far away were you?
There was a table in between us.
Okay. It didn't look like it was very busy. Were they talking at all?
Appeared to be talking, yes.
Okay, but you couldn't hear anything they were saying?
Not to my recollection, no.
Okay. Were you involved at all in the October 9th investigation of the attempted paintball shooting of Tammy Daybell?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. This is beyond the scope.
I'll overrule that.
Go ahead and answer.
No, I was not.
Okay. Do you happen to know, you were involved in the investigation of Tammy Daybell's death, correct?
Yes.
I mean, obviously you went down to the exhumation and stuff.
Yes.
Are you aware of where Lori Vallow was when Tammy Daybell died on October 19th?
No.
Okay. Would it surprise you to know that she was in Hawaii?
No.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thomas. Any redirect from the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right, that'll conclude the testimony then of Officer Powell. I think this will probably be a good time to take a mid-morning break. If I could just briefly meet with counsel at the beginning of break to review the day's schedule, we'll do that, and all please rise for the jury then.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Let me just indicate also, as we break for the morning break and at any other breaks, there's a couple of rooms that are reserved just outside the courtroom for counsel only. So if you're a member of the observing public, please don't make any entry into those rooms just outside the courtroom doors here. And with that in mind, we'll have our mid-morning break, and I'll just briefly discuss our scheduling with counsel.
All right.
Thank you. Please be seated. All right, Mr. Bailiff, and as soon as the jurors are ready, they can be brought back in. Okay, we're back on the record on case CR 22-21-1624. The jurors are all present, state's present, as well as the defendant and her counsel. We just concluded our mid-morning break. Typically at this time we would commence with another witness. However, there's been some unforeseen circumstances that have required the state to request that we adjourn for the day. We've discussed that in chambers, and I understand the defense would not object to that request given the circumstances as well. So does the state request an adjournment for the day?
Yes, thank you.
All right, does the defense agree?
Yes, that's fine, Your Honor.
Okay, I appreciate that, counsel. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, occasionally these things come up during a long trial. We appreciate your attendance today. We will be adjourning for the day. I will also advise you that we have determined that we're going to need to take a day off, which would be next Monday, the 17th. So we'll be back on for trial tomorrow, Thursday the 13th, and Friday the 14th. And then you will not be required to return on the 17th, and then we'll start again on the 18th. And I just thought I'd let you know in advance so you can make plans to do other things while you have that break coming up this weekend. So that will conclude evidence for today. As I try to remember to tell you each time we break for the day, please continue to follow the admonishment of the court to not investigate this case. Don't look into the case through the internet or through any other media sources. Please don't discuss the case with anyone else, including each other. And with that, if all would please rise, we'll have the jury excused for the day.
All right.
All right, thank you. We'll be adjourned until tomorrow morning at 8.
Your Honor, I apologize. I just had one quick thing. May Joe Powell be released from his subpoena?
Yes, unless there's any objection from the defense.
No objection.
All right, Officer Powell is released from his subpoena. Thank you, counsel. We will recommence tomorrow morning at 8:30.
Thank you.
All rise.
That's the latest. Keep it here. We will get you live courtroom audio every single day in the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell, along with insight and discussions as it continues. I'm Tony Bruschi. Stay with us.
This is continuous coverage
Continuous coverage. Continuous coverage.
in the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell from the Hidden Killers podcast.
Hidden Killers Podcast.